Hello, good morning. My name is Scott Forcino. I'm an associate broker with eXp Realty out of New York City in the metro area. I founded PlugIntro so that users, members of the real estate industry can meet more and better referral partners. It's gone really well. Agents have become local famous. I had the pleasure of meeting Anthony Rosa at a recent networking event in New Jersey on a beautiful evening, and I thought he was a sharp young professional. I wanted to see if we could learn more from him and how he can assist his clients and contacts. Good morning, Anthony.
Good morning, Scott. Thank you for having me.
Super happy. So we talked a little bit offline, and I was quite impressed by your array of professional offerings and how you assist clients and your referral partners and contacts. Could you let us know about you, your background, and what you think is best helpful to your contacts?
Yeah, sure. That's a very great question. And again, thanks for having me and everybody. My name is Anthony Rosa. I go by Mr. Remedy because a lot of the things that I talk about with credit and finance, they're just real remedies or solutions that you can practice on an everyday life. I was a banker with Wells Fargo and PNC back in 2015, and I grew up in what you would consider a low-income home. And thankful enough, sports was able to continue my education. And when I was furthering my education and with that background of that low income, I knew that I wanted to get into professional services, and I had a passion for money and credit. And quite frankly, in a Latino household, they tell us use cash and credit is bad. And I found that that's a negative connotation and it's a false connotation. So what I want to do is I just want to share some remedies and clear up the air and just kind of give you some tools that honestly can teach you how to think of money like you think of air, in which you just don't think about it. And there's a whole formula about that I'd like to go over. So just to kind of add to your question, Scott, I always say this: credit is built on history and activity. And if you don't have any history or activity, that's not good credit history. Quite frankly, it's that simple. And there's 5 credit factors. And understanding what the bank guidelines are and those credit factors and having a good plan, you can have a great credit score, go on as many vacations as you want. And as long as you're monitoring and staying on top of it, you won't let anything fall through the cracks. And Scott, it's that simple.
What are those 5 factors? Can you tell us?
So one of the 5 factors is credit age. All right, it's your age of credit. You could be 56 years old with one credit card that you opened in 2020 and your credit age is 2 years.
That's not good.
It's not good. You want credit age. Another is credit mix. You want to have a different mix of credit, whether that be a loan, a credit card, could be an auto loan, a personal loan, a mortgage, many different.
What are those things? So revolving installment debt, how do those work? Mortgage, credit card, car loan?
Yeah, exactly that. So in other words, they're all trade lines, but you want to have a healthy credit mix, right? So when the underwriter goes and says, oh, you want to buy this $400,000 loan, but you have no loan credit history, and you have 2 to 3 years of credit history just on revolving credit, it's not enough credit history. It's an easy decline. Most times, if you have a 700 credit score, what do you mean? I have a 700 credit score. I have a great credit history. It's not enough credit history, and that hurts you.
People don't know that. And what are your thoughts? And we're jumping around a bit. What are your thoughts about people using these websites, Credit Karma and these other things?
Yeah, I mean, they're great. They're great for history. They're great for alerts. They're great to monitor your credit. They're great to give you a good indication of where you are. It's great to have than not have. However, there are different scoring models. And so the next time the lender looks at the scoring model, they're using universal credit or whatever, you're going to see, okay, you're using FICO scoring model 8 or, there's different scoring models. And then if you're on Credit Karma, you're looking at it at a Vantage scoring model. And all these scoring models are different, right? And Credit Karma is a free site that banks have an affiliation with, and they drip on us.
So
And
I've been told those sites are really marketing plays. They're really just to get you to give your information to be reached by banks or other service providers.
I mean, I know we're still talking about credit factors, but we're talking about monitoring now. And yeah, absolutely. You can opt in of those promotional inquiries or opt out, and you can protect your personal information by opting out.
Wow. But I mean, people don't know that. They definitely, they don't
So,
know.
the other three, one is payment history,
Okay.
right? You can have 2 years, 5 years, 10 years of an account, but that one time you pay late, it's a derogatory account. And you can dispute it, you can try to get it reversed or removed. But if it's valid, it's valid. And under the Fair Credit Reporting Act, that information is updated accurately. That's a stain on your report. And so payment history is the number one credit factor. You can have a good credit score on one late payment and drop 70 to 80 points in one shot. You can have a bad credit score and have the same late payment and drop 15 to 20 points. The honesty is, if you have good credit, something small like that will have more of an impact.
Is that a little bit unfair, would you think?
Yeah, but if you look at the algorithm, it's because you have so much good history that one splash has a very negative effect. So I'm biased on that. Of course, I'm for the people of the people, but it hurts even more that the bounce back after you drop in score doesn't bounce back as fast. So if you have good history, you have a blemish, and you go 3 to 6 months of paying on time, your score doesn't necessarily offset to back where it was, although you've paid on time. And that's kind of what makes me more upset.
You're right. And that's a lot of information. People now, with the car industry, what it is with buying cars and the demanding for housing, that's everything comes into play. So how do you deal with people who become your clients, regular people, to improve credit or challenge some of those potential derogatory items?
So it leads me into my fourth credit factor, utilization. Utilization is the second largest impact factor on your credit report. So when I work with a client, I look at their credit report, I look at their history, and in my mind, like a computer, I'm already computing what we need to do and in a timeline. Most times, my clients are receiving results in 30 to 90 days, but I don't believe in automated letters or trying to say this account is not mine and hoping it gets removed. I don't believe in putting a band-aid on a credit report. I want to completely repair it. So I look at the credit history, I look at the revolving history, I look at the utilization, and during the program, I like to understand where your appetite is, right? So you don't have to answer these questions, Scott, but when I am kind of going over the intro with a prospect and they didn't become a client, I'm very selective with who I work with. And I want somebody that I can really genuinely help. So I ask them these three questions. When you do a budget plan, do you do a mental budget, a paper budget, or you kind of don't do a budget at all? When you're at the point of sale, do you use cash, debit, or credit? And then during the month, as you're, generating revenue or whatever, do you pay yourself first? Do you pay yourself last? Or is it kind of hard to save at all? And
Mm-hmm.
based off of those three questions and based off of looking at the credit report, I can completely analyze what I need to do. So the fourth factor was utilization. If I know that if I do a budget plan with you and I show you what your true break even is, and I set you up with a credit card strategy, maybe we can lower your utilization, maybe we can do a balance transfer. There's other things that we can do to try to consolidate your debt, depending on, of course, where your score is. But I want to get you out of debt. I want to improve your payment history. And by doing that, I can alone improve your report by 65% based off of the percentage breakdown on the credit factors. And then the
Interesting.
last factor is new
Well,
credit. New credit. Sometimes, like in that example that I led with, if that, depending on what age you are and depending on how many trade lines you have, you might need more credit history. There's a lot of people that say, oh, I have too many credit cards. And I'll say, how many credit cards do you have? You say, I have 2 or 3. That's enough. Reality is, that's not enough credit history. You want a minimum of 4 to 5 trade lines with the credit mix, with 3 to 4 or 5 more years of credit history. And that is someone that's very well established. So if you're out there and you're using cash and debit at the point of sale, and if you're kind of just a free spirit, how Dave Ramsey says, you don't do budget plans. I did Financial Peace University as a part of my continued education. And if you have that free spirit and you're just using cash and debit and you don't do a budget plan, well, truth of the matter is like they say, I said it before, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And those type of um, activities is just not going to get you to where you need to be.
Sure. How do you make this known now with your regular reaching other professionals like lawyers or lenders or agents? I mean, do you teach people? Do you have one-on-ones? Do you have sessions for offices? I mean, because that's some valuable information. I learned a lot myself. How do you make that known?
Yeah, I am the executive producer that you see at the end of the credits, right? I do things on the underground, right? I work with loan officers. I get invited to private meetings. I do public seminars. I do comedy shows where we do a little bit of education and entertainment at the same time. I do have a business page, Fresh Start Advancement. On Instagram, I'm known as the community finance coach. And I like to do short videos and memes. I'll use WhatsApp and I'll send it out to my realtors, my brokers, my loan officers, and I ask them to share it with their clients. And what I want to do is empower my partners where, quite frankly, there might be some things that you guys can recommend, and it's okay if that person or that customer doesn't become a client of mine. I'm people over profit. So if I can help you put out a fire, just improves our relationship. At the end of the day, if someone really needs me and someone wants someone that's going to hold their hand on a one-on-one, I do have my private one-on-one sessions. So group, open forum, and one-on-one.
It's powerful. Interesting.
Thank you.
And what what do you see? I mean, when lenders are coming to you with someone whose credit is iffy, I mean, that they may not be prepared to buy a house at that point, or real people in the industry. How do you folks work together to, tell them, take some time and give me that approach, please?
So since 2015, I've scrubbed at over 4,000 members in my program. I've lost count of how many open seminars I've been on. So I have examples for days, but I'll give you my best last example. It was working with a loan officer from cross country, and he's a good friend of mine, very strong referral partner. And he referred me a client that, had some collections. It was a business owner. He was an investor on the side, had a bunch of inquiries. Of course, he was using his personal business credit for his business credit, and he was carrying all the debt from his business on his personal. Granted, he had about $15,000 in debt, but it was all maxed out. So when he was referred to me, I see maxed out credit cards, I see multiple inquiries, I see 2 collections, and I'm just like, wow, I love this. The harder the better, right? I embrace it because if as long as you're financially stable, right? You have to have income, some sort of income. right? Because there's going to be a time that you're going to have to face those letters or face those calls or face those creditors. But I'm here with you. So on average, I save Americans over $1 million a year in debt, whether that's collection, judgment, repos, medical, whether I'm doing a balance transfer from one credit card to another and I'm saving you 0 interest for 15 months. Granted, a different client, not to go off path, but I just saved someone $2,400 and 15 doing balance transfers. Like, if I can do a consolidation and get rid of your debt, your score can improve significantly. So the way that I work with my lenders and with this partner in particular, I use email to communicate with the lender or the partner or the referral partner and say, listen, this is what's going on. I get the permission from the client, of course, because it's going to take a team effort. So I have my affiliations with my attorney, with my inspector, with the lender, and I kind of play as that mediator because it could be intimidating buying a home, especially if it's the first time. And so I can kind of communicate with everybody, and my lenders or my referral partner would ask me for updates. I would give them updates periodically. By the Fair Credit Reporting Act, updates are done once a month. So we have one mandatory call once a month, but we also have multiple touches in between. And these multiple touches, Scott, is really just kind of created for us to, hey, did you get this validation letter? Yeah, what do I do? Send it to me. I'm going to ask you, hey, Scott, did you get that email with the investigation complete? Yeah, what do I do? Send it to me. So we go back and forth. Hey, Scott, did you set up your online banking? I need you to renew your password because we have to set up the Experian Boost. And we go back and forth. It's super organic, and there's no two credit reports alike. So in 3 months with this client, my program is a 6-month program, but they had a closing date. And of course, you can imagine that people want things done like yesterday. So when I get profiles or the jacket, I'm like, what's my timeline? Oh, I have a closing date in 30 days. What? I need more time. If I negotiate a pay
in that case, how do they go to contract? How does a person pre-approve? How did that get there?
That's for another conversation. I'm not the lender, so I can't speak for them. I understand the process, and I understand pre-approvals are given out like Tic Tacs, but it really is, you have to be very careful with that. Yeah, I have people that have pre-approvals, they go for closing, they rerun credit, the credit is not ready, they have to get an extension. It's a mess. And I'm thankful that I'm not a part of that. But, hey, listen, it was 90 days. I did a budget plan. He paid down his utilization. I was able to negotiate. We got the collections removed. I got some inquiries removed. I'm affiliated with different banks, so I added on a secured personal loan. His credit score jumped 73 points, and there you have it. But again, everybody's different, and it takes time. And, I like to use the word forecast and project. I can't come to someone and say, hey, you have $10,000 in collections, you have $8,000 in credit card debt, and you still have to put the down payment and closing cost. How do we figure all this out? They weren't expecting to pay my fee and handle what they got to handle because they're trying to buy one of the most expensive assets that they're ever going to buy in their life, which is the house.
Sure.
So you got to be ready. You got to be ready. I'm not here to tell you what you want to hear. I am your accountability coach, but I'm side by side with you going through the rut. And more times than not, I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. So as long as you follow my path and don't go adrift, sooner or later we'll have the results that we want. And I'm straight up with you. If I don't see it, I'm going to tell you, look, we got a big mountain to climb right now. Brace yourself.
I've heard great things about you from more than one person, so I'm impressed myself.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Are you licensed everywhere? Does it need licensure, or can you work all over the country?
So in the state of New Jersey, I don't need license. You have to be bonded to be in other states, and it also depends on how much revenue you're generating in that state. So if I have to be bonded, I'm bonded. However, I don't fall into the category of credit repair. I am a coach. So when you hire me, I'm teaching you, in a sense, what you need to do and understand on how to think of money and credit like you think of air, in which you just don't think about it.
Hmm.
So I don't follow the same criteria as a credit coach. That's why I'm Mr. Remedy. I have remedies, and you hire me as your life coach or your business control coach, aka a consultant.
I like it. And let me ask you, Anthony, and who's great for you to meet? Give me the list of professionals. We have a good idea, but what do you think?
Yeah, look, loan officers, accountants, CPAs, people that are bankers, branch managers, VPs of business banking, people that are collecting and submitting applications for credit. Those are the perfect people because they're the ones that are collecting the information and submitting the application, and they're the first to know if the application was approved or declined. If the application was approved, great. But you see, the threshold with some lenders could be from 580 up, 620 up. So if you have a low credit score, typically you're going to have a high APR or interest rate. So does that really serve you a good purpose, just closing the deal to close the deal? Did that homeowner or person really budget plan effectively? I mean, you saw what happened in 2007 and 8 when people were just getting approved left and right.
Sure.
We're going to create, we got to be very careful with who we're approving if they fit the criteria.
Right. Well, they want a house, so they're much more concerned about a place to live and a tax deduction than this important part of their lives. And we have to kind of give that some understanding too. I mean, they're still having holidays and birthdays with a 580 score, but they need to have the home for a place to sleep and a place to study, do your homework.
Look, I talk about luxuries versus necessities all the time. And as long as you budget plan, you could put yourself first. There's things like a 52-week family savings challenge. You make a cool box with your family. Every Friday, you get together at dinner and you put $1 in there. Every week as you go, for 52 weeks, you put $1 extra. Week 2, $2. Week 5, $5. Week 10, $10. You get it? At the end of 52 weeks, I always ask, Scott, I'll ask you, after 52 weeks, how much money you think you saved just saving $1 extra? Give it a try.
Yeah, it'd be a lot. And then you add more.
So it's over $1,200 in savings annually, as long as you don't tap into it. Good luck when you get to week 40, 41, 42, 43, because you're saving a lot of money monthly. It's a good push,
Right.
but it's a good habit. And as a coach, I have some other remedies on how to save. As
That's
long as you
exciting.
practice something, the key is to save and put yourself first.
Sure. And what's the best way to reach you, Anthony?
People could reach me, calling me directly on the business line, 201-870-0473. You can follow me on Instagram, the Community Finance Coach. You can look me up on Facebook, Frest Start Advancement. Or, of course, they can come through you. That's the family and friend discount.